Alrighty, welcome to the Ozzstar's Cars channel. I'm Glenn, and on today's fun project we're going to be doing an oil change. Well, actually it's a tips and tricks basically on this Audi A3. It's a 2016 model, has the 2.0 liter turbo, and what's unique about it is, let me show you this tool here and the plug. So this is, it doesn't have a conventional bolt where, you know, a hex bolt, you take the drain plug. Go figure, it's a Euro car, they're not going to make it easy, but it has this plug, and if you can see that slot back here, see that right in there, what you need is a special, well, we'll call it a wrench. So that fits in there, and then you twist this out, okay? That's how you get it out, that's how you drain the oil from below. Now keep in mind, there's a splash shield, okay, a pan or belly pan, whatever you want to call it, underneath. That's aluminum, and it's held in with 20-something combination screws, bolts, whatever you want to call it. Literally, I'm not joking. So I've got the car on ramps. I've already taken that pan off, and I'm going to show you what you'll need to do that so that you can get to this plug to drain the oil. Now, the other way to do it is through where your dipstick is. Your dipstick tube's right over there. In fact, I'll just bring the camera over and show you. You can put a suction tool in there and suck it all out if you want. My little Mighty Vac over there, my brake bleeder, sucks that stuff out, but it was kind of slow and it just wasn't working, so I figured let's go for it. So got the tool. I'll leave a link in the description down below if you need one of these. I think they're like $10 to $12 or $15 for this, so it's well worth it. And you can buy these plugs separate. They do have an O-ring, so when you put these back in, make sure to put a little bit of oil on that O-ring so it goes in nice and smooth and doesn't bind on you. But let me take you over the car here, and like I say, I'm not going to sit here and bore you guys with draining oil, but I will show you some of the important tips. So right over here, this cover, I've already got it loose. You just pull this cover off. It's got 4 little tabs. You know, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they fit on those nipples. Yeah. Anyway, we'll take that off and put that over there. And right here is your dipstick, you know, to check your oil level. And you can actually put your tube down there. There's mine. There's my vac. I starts taking out like a quart of it. See that right there? But we're not going that route. It's too slow. It's taking too long. You would pull this out, put the tube down in there all the way to the oil pan, and sit here and wait for that. Or they have the hand pump action. But we're not worried about that. Here's your cap where you're going to put your new oil in. So make sure that's clean before you do any of that. You don't want any dirt up here and stuff. And here's where your oil filter is. So it's a cartridge. Get yourself a 32mm socket, and fits right on there. See, this one is a hex. I don't know why they couldn't do it with the oil drain bolt, but hey, back this right out. There's an O-ring that's on the end of that, and a cartridge. Let me show you that. Oh, that's under the O-ring's under the car in the pan, but here's what your cartridge looks like, and that just has a hole on each end. Doesn't matter which way you put it in, you'll see when you take it out. Just make sure you replace that O-ring, get a little pick, and just slide it right off the edge. It's probably about 2 or 3 inches wide. Here's the O-ring. I fished it out from down under there, and that's what goes around the oil filter canister right there, right at the bottom. You'll see it around the threaded part. You should always replace that just to be safe. These cars, they spec for 5W40 synthetic, but I use the Euro, and this is actually what the car or the manufacturer calls for. See how this says Euro car? You can get this stuff for about, I don't know, $8, $10, $12 a quart. And there you go, right down here, you see where it says, right, real little letters for Audi, VW, BMW, and Porsche. Okay, and it's spec'd, I think it's like a 205 spec. Anyway, this is what they suggest. In fact, I think on the cap, yep, it says right there, Castrol. So that's what we're using. I always suggest this oil be changed no more than 5,000 miles. So this 2 liter takes 6 quarts, which I think is like 5.7 or 5.8 liters when you convert it. But this is a quart, and you need 6 of those with your new filter. Let me take you down below, and let me get a light here. I'll show you this fun stuff. So the car is up on ramps, as you can see. let's go down here and I'll show you the oil pan and all that good stuff. So let's talk about the cover. There it is there on the floor, on the ground, which usually is up here, okay? There's your oil pan, that thing that looks like a honeycomb. Looks like a bee's nest. And on the back of it, I'll show you that plug in just a second. So that's what you're looking for there. And I do see evidence of coolant leaking. So that's a common problem with these vehicles, is the water pump up there, thermostat, tends to leak. It's a plastic housing, just like that plastic pan. Anyway, here's all the bolts right here that hold this thing on, and you've got 3 different sizes. You've got T25, you've got T30s, they're Torx. Okay, so the T25s are across, they go across the front here, and then the T30s are down the sides, like down that side and down that side, for the pan I'm talking about. And then you'll see these big bolts, which are 13 millimeter. You'll have a whole bunch of them throughout there, and you'll see where they are when you get under there, if you choose to. But let me take you over here to where the plug is. And I hope the camera hasn't been too shaky, but we're just doing this real time. So as we look up right here, I'm going to come back. Now we're towards the firewall, looking at the front. I got to spin my camera around. Hopefully my big nose won't block the view. Oops, turn my light on. So hopefully, where are we? Okay, right here, I'm tapping it. Let me put my light on it for you. Right, I know I got a spotlight right there. Okay, you see that right here? Well, that's our plug. So get a good shot of that. Hopefully it's in focus. And that's where you're gonna have to drain your oil. So that plug will come out, you know, counterclockwise, loosey-goosey, and drain your oil and do your thing. So hopefully that helps you out right there. Here's an important tip if you're going to take that belly pan off down there underneath the car. What I do is I'll leave 1 or 2 of those bigger bolts in, because they're easy to grab with your fingers, like one up front and one in the back. Just leave 2 or 3 threads in there, so that way when the pan is loose, you can just unscrew those bolts with your hand, with your finger, while your other hand is kind of in the center. And that'll kind of balance it out for you so that you can lower it down gently. Because if you just zip those bolts out, I use you know, one of these deals. You can get an impact, you know, helps. It saves a lot of time, or a battery ratchet. But that way it'll save you time, and it won't come down and hit you in the head. Because it's a pain in the butt as is. You don't need a pain in the head too. So. All right. Well, this thing's pretty much done dripping here, leaking out. That's good enough. Let me grab my plug, and what I'll do is I'll just get it started on there first, and it's no big deal. You don't have to go crazy. Just spin it clockwise until it grabs. You'll feel it thread in just like any bolt, and then it kind of snaps in. It kind of locks in on its own, and your leaky leak should stop. Now, before I put the belly pan under here, the splash shield or whatever you want to call it, I will fill the engine with oil, start the car, and check for leaks. And while I'm here, it's always good to let me grab my brake clean. Try not to get the camera. Just get that cleaned up, just to be neat, and then hit it with a little compressed air. If you happen to have it, great. If not, oh well. Just to clean it up, keep it nice and dry. If you're noticing this other stuff here, this yellow, I believe that's the coolant from here that's been dripping down from that thermostat. Now, I don't know, this car was bought used from one of those places where, you know, you put a coin in the machine and it brings your car down in an elevator. So, literally. So, I'm not sure if the thermostat and stuff has been changed on this yet or not, but I'll be looking into that separately. So, anyway, that's how that goes. Simple enough. Now we just got to put the 6 quarts of oil in there. So with our new oil filter in and that plug back in, take your cap off. Now if this is dirty, clean it. I blew some compressed air all around here to get any debris. You don't want any grit going down in there, that's for sure. I like to wipe this off when I take it out. Just keep everything clean and neat. This oil fill is right here where your actual timing cover is. So you got to take a small funnel. It's very small. You see my finger here, because there's only a small hole there. So do that, and then put your 6 quarts in. And you guys know how to do that. I don't have to sit here and bore you with it, right? So I'll just demo the first one, and when we get it all topped off. Now, if you want, put like 5.5 quarts in. Check the level after you start it. Check for leaks, and then you got to add a little bit. You'll see that on your dipstick. You got that crosshatch on there. So if you're at the bottom of the crosshatch, you probably should put at least a 1/2 quart in. See where you're at. Most times. And who knows with the Euro cars, they can get crazy. But normally, if you're at the bottom of that, you've got to put a quart in to get it to the top of the crosshatch. And those are the little X's that are on the dipstick. In fact, after this one's in here, in case you don't know, I'm going to show you. So let's all watch this go in. It's like beautiful, clean, clear, delicious honey is what it looks like. I hope the light glare isn't too bad, but that's the life and times of filming as a YouTuber. So here's your dipstick. We'll pull that out. Let me show you this. I have no idea if it's going to focus or not, but you'll see what I mean, hopefully. But right here on the end of the dipstick, can you see that crosshatch right in here? So this would be the bottom, that would be the upper. So you want your oil level in this range. I prefer to have it right at the top of the X's. So hopefully that showed up. Alright, I'll continue on with the next 5. Alright, story time while I'm pouring quart 3 here. So when I worked at the shop in the garage, I worked with this guy, Ronnie. He was a real character. And we had an engine hoist in there. And you know, that has a hydraulic piston in it. And this thing had a bad seal in it. The boss would never get it fixed, so we used to always have to add hydraulic fluid, and it had a tiny little hole on the top. I mean, this thing might have been a 1/4 inch. So we'd take the hydraulic fluid like this, and like real small, thin, and pour it down in there, because we didn't even have a funnel that was small enough to go in. So I used to tell Ronnie, I used to say, now by the way, Ronnie got his job there through his probation and parole officer, okay? So I used to say, Ronnie, you know what that is. You know how they can tell, you know, when they drug test you. And he was like, no, what do you mean? I said, well, you've got to pour that whole quart of hydraulic oil in that tiny little hole. If you spill any, you fail your drug test. And he's like, why? How's that? And I said, well, depending on how many drugs you've taken, you'll see how shaky you are and how much you spill. So, you know, he started going like this and shaking all over the place. And I used to just go ahead, and I don't think he was on drugs, but, you know, it was a joke. But I used to just go like this, real steady, you know, and pour it right in, not a problem. And he'd be like this all over the place. I think half of it would be on the ground by the time he was done. Oh, the good old days. Let me show you this belly pan under here so you'll see it. It's at a big aluminum piece, and you've got to take out all those bolts and screws and all kinds of stuff, and it goes pretty far back. So just be careful when you drop it down to balance it out. Like I said, if I hadn't said it already, leave a bolt in the front and a bolt in the back, finger tight, and drop her down slow and steady. All right, after we check our oil level and everything's good, let's go ahead and reset that oil service light. So I have the Autel MS906 BT here. We'll go to service, go to oil reset. Let's go to VIN. Should auto detect this. This car is a 16, so it should be pretty quick. I have the ignition is on. You can see all the gauges are on there. If you don't have this, there may be a way through the instrument cluster. I think there's a way to do it, but we'll do it the easy way, just because we have the stuff to do it. Hopefully it's going to be in focus. There are the honkers. They're all starting to migrate, coming down from the land of Canada with BS Corner and Steve Robb reviews. Yeah, looks like they've been drinking beer. All right, anyway, if you don't know who that is, check them out on YouTube. So we got auto oil reset, oil service reset. Let's go with that one. Boy, they're loud. In this test, the flexible service interval display can be reset. Let's go OK.
And it's saying it was successfully reset. Note, when the service reset is performed successfully, the service information on the dashboard of some vehicles will display blank blank blank, which is normal. Driving for a period of time or distance after the service, whatever 500 kilometers is in miles, the remaining service information will be displayed automatically. So if you know metric, convert that for me, please. So let's click OK. And we should be all set. So okay, since we try not to hack around here, let me show you, if you don't have the fancy scan tool, by the way, that MS906, I have a video on that. I'll leave a link in the description down below if you want to check out the video review on that scan tool. Anyway, let's say you want to reset it, the oil life from inside the car. So right now, most likely your radio would be on. What you do is you come down here, click menu, and then you're going to get that screen. Use your dial right here, come over to car right there. Then you want to click right there. Then you see these, it says systems, set individual. Well, that's these guys right here. There's like 4 of them around here. Click this one, that's the bottom left. That'll get you over to service and control. You can use your dial for that. Click this button again for enter. Sorry for going back and forth, but you'll get this menu here. Scroll down to service intervals, click the button for enter. See, we already reset it. So it says next oil change in 10,000 miles, 365 days. I don't think so. Don't go 10,000 miles. I mean, it's your car. Go ahead if you want to, but you ought to do it more like 5,000 miles. Anyhow, so that's that. And then all you got to do is click the back button a couple of times, and that will get you back to this screen. Go over to your radio, get your jams going, your favorite station. You're all set. Crank up the volume right here. Good to go. Hope that helps you out.
Okay, so that's simple enough. I mean, on your VW Audi oil change, right? You just need a couple specialty tools. I hope I helped you out with that. You know, the cartridge, take it out, put a new one in. As far as your oil, you can either suck it out or get that special tool, take the plug out, fill it up, bolt that pan back on after you take all 20 something out. I don't know how many are missing, but it's around 20 bolts you'll get to play with. I have the car up on ramps. I think that's the safest way to do it. I guess you could jack it up and use some jack stands. But other than that, if you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Thumbs up's always good. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you stopping by the channel, checking it out. I have lots of automotive repair videos here on YouTube. So I guess I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.